Mike Davey and Jack Hagan are Coppenob's pattern cutters. It's their job to take Claire's virtual pattern pieces and cut them out of the designer's chosen material as quickly and economically as possible. ICT has completely changed the way Mike and Jack work, creating new ways of storing and retrieving patterns, and for some garments, completely automating the cutting process.
The patterns are kept in a library, if you wish. It's Vetigraph, which is just basically the calling up as with...
To begin turning Claire's virtual pattern pieces into a sample garment, Michael starts by calling them up from the network.
Shows all the pieces, names them all. I'm just going to select them all. We can display...
The next step is to decide how to lay them out, using the minimum amount of material whilst maintaining any stripes or patterns. This is called creating a marker.
That sort of thing. So I'm just going to make a marker. Because this is a stripe, I'm just going to match the bottoms.
Creating markers is a highly skilled job, and when it comes to mass production, even saving a tiny amount of material by laying out the garments more efficiently can dramatically reduce costs. Although computer programs will often suggest a layout, a skilled pattern cutter can usually make improvements.
Put them in separately. Okay, then we've made the marker. We're just going to save it, name it, so we know how we can call it up from. 21698.
Because this garment's going to be cut by hand, the next step is to print out the marker. With the help of ICT, creating a simple marker takes a matter of minutes. It's a far cry from the days before the computer system was installed.
If you're a company that has a big turnaround like we do, there are lots and lots and lots of patterns made, and we used to waste so much time. Even though we had a racking system, somebody would move a pattern and put it back not quite in the right place or whatever. We used to waste a lot of time just physically looking for patterns.
Until fairly recently, the pattern pieces created by Claire were made of cardboard, and having to store and catalogue them by hand wasn't the only disadvantage they had compared to the digital ones. When it came to drawing around the cardboard pattern pieces to create a marker, they quickly became worn, and the chalk lines were much thicker than those on a digital printout, leaving much bigger margins for error. It's no surprise that Coppenob's pattern cutters have welcomed the digital age with open arms. Well, fairly open anyway. Back in the present, once the marker's been printed out, it's pinned to the material and the pattern cutter cuts each piece by hand. For simple garments like this top, it's still the fastest technique. But when it comes to more complex samples, like coats, ICT is able to offer a faster alternative in the form of computerized cutting tables. Mike's colleague Jack's using the robotic table to make the pattern pieces for a jacquard coat. He begins by calling up the appropriate design and creating a marker in exactly the same way as for hand cutting. Rather than printing the design out, the information is transferred directly to the cutting table. But before that can begin, the material has to be laid out. First, the material's ironed to make sure it lies flat on the table. For this coat, there's also an interlining that'll help make the material stiffer and give the coat more bulk.
This is interlining. It gives the cloth some body, it sticks to it. It's got glue on one side, and we take it to the iron afterwards. The pieces, when they're cut with the interlining, we take the pieces over and press it on with the iron.
Finally, a sheet of polythene is placed over the top of the different layers being cut. Air is removed through tiny holes in the table, creating a vacuum that holds the polythene and material in place.
This page is the actual page on which all the controls are that the cutting controls for the machine. And then you just click go. Drives, auto datum, and start.
The robotic table's extremely efficient. From start to finish, cutting a coat takes a matter of hours. And whilst the table's doing its thing, Jack can start thinking about the next project. But whether they're cut by hand or on the computerized table, the next step is to stitch the pieces together to create the finished sample garment.
I mean, it looks nice, but it's quite...
But then we are doing it as a dress coat, so it's
Yeah.
supposed to be quite exaggerated.
Yeah.
If the designer's happy with it, then it'll be shown to the customers. With the help of ICT, even a complex garment can be designed, have a pattern made, and be cut out and assembled in less than a day. It's much more efficient than it used to be, because ICT reduces the time it takes to create a marker by using specialist software, makes creating physical patterns quicker by enabling them to be printed out, means design houses need less space because pattern pieces are stored digitally, and by linking cutting tables directly to computers, in some cases removes the need to create physical pattern pieces at all. But some say the real benefit of computers is when it comes to the next stage of development.